Hello Jurassic World fans, after a small delay we are returning with a brand new video all about Jurassic World, and I figured we would return on a little bit of a different note this time around. Overall on my channel concerning Jurassic World, the things that I've talked about have been overwhelmingly positive, which has led to a lot of people asking me about some of my complaints with the series overall. For this video, I figured we would return with another top 5 list and talk about some of my biggest complaints in the Jurassic Park / World franchise with my top 5 worst Jurassic Park / World moments. Before we begin with the list itself, I'd also like to make it clear that I am a gigantic fan of the Jurassic Park / World franchise, and as a whole, I think it's one of the best movie series that we've ever had. And just because I may have a complaint or a little issue with the film doesn't mean I don't enjoy and adore the films overall. It's actually quite the opposite. I find a lot of enjoyment in these movies, but mostly what this list boils down to is little nitpicks that I may have in some of the movies. Basically what I'm trying to say is the Jurassic Park franchise is a series with an extremely high level of quality, but just because something has a high level of quality doesn't mean it can't be improved in other areas or have small niches. So with introductions out of the way, let's go ahead and begin with my top 5 worst Jurassic Park / World moments. So number 5 comes from Jurassic World, and in Jurassic World, when they're going inside the Indominus Rex paddock because they can't see the Indominus Rex on thermal, and they're also unable to see her visually, they decide to enter the paddock. Now the reason why I think that this is a scene with a problem in it is because some of our human characters, including our most intelligent human character, when it comes to actually looking at the behavior of dinosaurs, decides to take a risky move. And not a very well thought out move as well, and I think that it's just out of character for Owen Grady, which is the character that I'm talking about. And also Claire totally allows these park workers and Owen to go inside the Indominus Rex paddock before initially stopping them and telling them, hey, let's wait to see if she is actually in here and look at her tracker. And actually a minute or two later we actually do see Claire as she's driving to the main control room talking to the control room, and they say that the Indominus Rex is indeed still in her paddock because of the tracker itself. And I think that the characters would have been portrayed as much more intelligent if they had just checked everything before going into a pen with an extremely dangerous dinosaur. Not just an animal, but a dinosaur that is basically specifically bred to be the ultimate killer. I don't think it's a very smart moment for our characters, and I think that if they had thought it all through, the Indominus Rex incident would have never happened, but at the same time they kind of had to come up with a reason why they went into the paddock without making Jurassic World seem so incapable of keeping its dinosaurs locked down. So they kind of had to add a little bit of a bump and a tiny bit of a plot hole here, but after that the whole movie goes smoothly, and this is the only Jurassic World moment on my list, and overall I still think that Jurassic World is a great film. I just think they should have checked everything before going into the paddock of the Indominus Rex. Now keep that in mind, this isn't just a Velociraptor or a Dilophosaurus, which would definitely be dangerous as well, but this is the Indominus Rex, one of the largest dinosaurs that they have in the park, and debatably the most dangerous dinosaur that they have in the park that they admittedly know very little about. And I think that it's a moment that they really pass bad judgment and allow themselves to slip a little bit. And it's a problem with writing. There's no problem with the performances in this particular scene. It's just a problem with they needed a way to let the Indominus Rex escape while portraying its intelligence and some of its abilities, but they couldn't come up with one that they came up with one, but it compromised the intelligence of our characters, which I think was a mistake. So at number 4, I share a complaint that a lot of fans have around Jurassic Park 3. That is that during the film we discover that Alan Grant and Ellie Sattler did not end up together after what they endured in Jurassic Park. This is by no means an original complaint, and it's been beat to death over and over again by a lot of fans that think that this was a gigantic mistake. And obviously with it being on this list, I wholeheartedly agree with the complaint. In a way, it kind of lessened the growth that Alan Grant went through in the first Jurassic Park movie. It didn't completely destroy it, but it still took a toll on it. He still grew to care and tolerate children, but at the same time, the whole reason Ellie was having a hard time with him in the beginning of the movie was that he didn't really particularly enjoy children. And after he was able to overcome this thing that was troubling him, there was really implied that Ellie and Alan Grant would be able to get married and start a family and be able to have a great relationship together, and to see that not pan out is very disappointing. On top of this, it would have been very easy to explain that Ellie and Alan Grant had gotten married, and then Alan Grant just decided to go back to the island again because he was having more financial issues. This would have given him better motivation on going to Isla Sorna in the first place, because back at home, him and his family weren't doing very well as far as money goes, leading him to take on this expedition with the Kirbys because basically they just needed cash to support the family that he had with Ellie. And I really think the thing that makes this the worst is that Ellie Sattler actually does appear in Jurassic Park 3. They have a small dinner scene, and really that's all the screen time they needed to establish that they had a family, is the dinner scene time, but instead they decided to give Ellie Sattler a different family and a different husband and have Alan Grant still be single, which I think was very disappointing. At number 3, I have the gymnastics velociraptor scene from The Lost World. This scene is very infamous in the community and is cited as one of the reasons a lot of people think Jurassic Park 2 or The Lost World is a pretty subpar movie, which I actually don't agree with at all. The scene occurs in the broken down InGen facility where Ian Malcolm is trying to evade a velociraptor. Right before the velociraptor is about to pounce, his daughter Kelly does a gymnastics trick and kicks the velociraptor out the window, mortally wounding it. And I think what makes this scene so terrible is that Kelly screams, "Hey you," right before she kicks the velociraptor, and the velociraptor actually turns and looks at Kelly. Not only is the line itself terrible, but the delivery is horrendous, and what follows after is actually one of the few velociraptor deaths in the franchise by a human. It pretty much goes against everything we've learned about the velociraptors at this point. A velociraptor, especially the Lost World raptors, which are highly aggressive, would not have waited and really played into the plot, but it just would have attacked Ian Malcolm right away, and probably would have even been able to dodge the kick from Kelly, because it's shown that she does take quite a bit of time to get that kick going. At number 2, I have the Jurassic Park scene where Amanda Kirby is yelling through the megaphone looking for her son Eric. I think even with that small description, people can see why this scene is so utterly terrible. Let's remember that they are on Isla Sorna, an island that is widely known contains very dangerous dinosaurs on it. And you know what? She ends up paying for it, but this is just another scene where I think that the human characters are just shown to be incredibly stupid and not have any idea what they're doing. But even an average person, that's pretty obvious that you don't go on an island with dangerous predators on it and just scream and let your location be known to everyone. And even when Alan Grant says that's not a good idea or that's a bad idea, and the other Kirby, Paul, then proceeds to start yelling at Amanda that that's a bad idea, or Dr. Grant says that's a bad idea. And I think that the cherry on top of the cake is that she turns around with the megaphone and says, "What's a bad idea?" And I just, that scene is terrible, and that's why I think it deserves number 2. I don't want to talk about it anymore. So finally, at number 1, this is something that I've talked about before. I have the talking velociraptor in Jurassic Park 3. Other than it just being a terrible, terrible scene, it also doesn't make sense at all because Alan Grant hadn't seen that breed of velociraptor at that point in time in the movie. It's also just a horrendous idea to see a talking dinosaur in the first place, especially in a Jurassic Park movie, which is a franchise about dinosaurs, but as realistic dinosaurs as Hollywood will allow. It's also a dream sequence, which is something that we've never seen in the Jurassic Park series before, and unless you can really pull it off, a dream sequence is something that a lot of people who are making movies should try to stray away from. There's really not a whole lot to say about this scene other than it's cringeworthy and I don't like it at all. So yeah, that's my list for the top 5 worst Jurassic Park / World moments. Again, remember that I love this franchise, and if you disagree with my list at all, feel free to give your reasons in the comments down below. Feel free to share your opinions and give me your top 5 worst Jurassic Park moments or Jurassic Park / World moments. Thank you as always so much for watching. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and have a great day.